think it's
I
real.
criticize capitalists or hardcore capitalist ambassadors that they do not practice capitalism within their families and within their circles of loved ones. They only practice capitalism to who they deem strangers, etc. Because when we speak about Ubuntu or some other form of communal living, it's that. But now it's living in a space where we've been pumped full of capitalistic ideas that I must be wealthy alone. First black, wealthiest African, it's individual. It is weirdly on the other side where you see certain black families that are deemed wealthy. You'll find on the whiter families it will be and family. In more of the Indian families, it's and sons. Whereas with us, we've made it's me. I'm wealthy instead of no, my family or my people are wealthy.
But
Can Ubuntu exist with capitalism?
How good is your money as a wealthy black man when the clinic where your mother and father are collecting their tablets is not fixed and you are drinking bottles of cognac in Sandton? How good is that? Because you're going to be called for a funeral in a few days. So I respect Jacob Zuma much more than I respect the other presidents. And next to Jacob Zuma, I have some respect for Madiba. The rest I can't mention for religious reasons. I mention so why? Because Zuma has got a home. Would rather be spending time arguing as to why did Jacob Zuma build a freeway to Nkandla and create a community and build a home. Madiba built himself a house in Mutata. Whether he built it or other people built it for him, I don't know. My honorable friend, Elder Mbeki, Mutante, and Ramaphosa, I don't know in the whole country here whether their wealth can be felt by the communities that are around them. All we hear is Lipalale, 20 million for a buffalo, and all these things that we cannot touch that. So communism, as if rightly put it, the proper communist is at the core of his family, is Ubuntu. He will create something that himself, his wife, and his children, and is building generational wealth for his family. So the capitalists will abuse everybody else, but secure their own circles.
Correct.
And if we could practice capitalism at that, we'll have reached the zenith of what Donald Trump was saying when he says Africa is a hole. Okay, I can't mention
I'll say it. It's a shithole.
Yeah. And when you say that, Trump is saying America comes first. Bugger everybody else in the world.
Yes.
We don't care about Iran. We don't care about Iraq, Saudi Arabia, and North Korea. My agenda as a president is to make sure that America comes up. America must be great again. That's it. I love Donald Trump in that context.
Yes.
And if Africa would adopt that principle, bugger off the West, bugger the North, bugger the East, Africa comes first. We cascade that down to countries. We cascade that down to individuals. We may actually find that capitalism is socialism upside down. If that makes sense to you. Because then we're being selfish towards ourselves. And by doing so, we're able to develop ourselves from the bottom up. Whereas capitalism is saying abuse everyone else so that it can be well. But if we can develop ourselves from this other angle, Africa has become capitalistic in ideology.
Correct.
But our capitalism is now socialism in implementation, if that makes sense to you. Because Africa then becomes the immediate home. South Africa then becomes the immediate home. Right now we have load shedding here. Why? Because a lot of the fat guys in town here cannot afford to put quality coal into the power stations. They would rather be selling that same coal into China. Go to Richards Bay right now. I'm not joking. I was there. Trucks are packed from Pangeni into the bay. There are mountains of coal that are there. While our own ESCOM
on their way to Germany. And
while
China.
our ESCOM, and by the same people in Germany are saying you must not use coal.
In America, yes.
And we are sending the coal there and we have load shedding here. And then you look around and say, but doesn't charity begin at home? For crying out loud, Europe built its civilization on coal. Why are we not being allowed to build our civilization also on coal? And for all practical purposes, hell no. The amount of carbon dioxide Mudupi will produce into the air, it's 0.0% of what America is doing.
Yes.
So
every first world nation has been built on fossil fuels, but we're being told as developing nations that we cannot use.
No, man, it's a lie. And by the way, when they want us to use these modern forms of energy,
renewables,
who is going to be supplying this stuff? Who is going to be maintaining it? We're back to square one again. Go solar, go solar. We'll donate 10 million worth of solar panels. And what? Boom, you have the solar panels. In less than 6 months, they're picking up. Who do you call for services and fixing up of those things and repairs? Look at Zimbabwe. They build up the power stations using British equipment. Kush, wake up one morning, we're on sanctions. Britain says we're no longer doing business with you.
Yeah.
And the equipment is all British. And the spare parts are refusing to come. And money cannot be transferred out of the country. Hey, the government is failing. Of course the government is failing. But can we look closer at the problem and find right at the core of the thing again? It's the man who sold you an idea. Like what the young man in Niger is doing. If France, you want your uranium, you come here and build the power station here. I love that.
Burkina Faso.
When France misbehaves, we know where the switch is. We can also just go there and do exactly to them what they are doing to us. Now, to me, that's power and that's empowerment. And I wish that even Ramaphosa, if this thing gets to him, stop selling coal to Germany and China, build power here and send those people a final product of the coal itself. And tell me, if we can burn all that coal, how much power would we have here? We'll have enough for South Africa, enough for Africa. The rest of it, we can send them to the world. But it doesn't make sense that you have to send products out and then buy them back as final products at 100% of the price that you sell them to.
You speak about Ramaphosa, you spoke about Donald Trump. Our African leaders, unfortunately, have been proven to not put Africa first.
I really look forward one day when I will meet Ramaphosa eyeball to eyeball. I look forward to that day. I'm looking for him.
Are you expecting to see something? Or to hear something?
No. I just want to whisper something to him.
Do you think it will work? Do you think you can wake him up?
I don't know how many bullets it takes to kill a man. Not that I want to kill him. I don't know how much information you need to change your mind. But one piece of information could transform a lot of things. I think he has a beautiful opportunity. At the center of the crisis of South Africa, the amount of money that he has as an individual is enough to fix the country's problems. At a critical point where the country is crying for help.
Is that not waiting for Jesus to come back?
I've lost hope in that gentleman. Wherever he is, and whenever he's going to come back.
Is this not a similar magical, I hope I can whisper in his ear because maybe one day he'll come back, as if he was ever here?
I am saying so to a man who is sitting on resources and who has an access to information and access to a network, that we cannot have the country.
But you're assuming he cares.
Maybe that's the weakness. Maybe that's the weakness I have.
You're thinking Jesus will come back.
It's Ubuntu. I hear you. I hear you twice. The Ramaphosa must become the Jesus who saves us. But there's no way right now where I am, where I can build a power station, and because these are enabling environments that allow the local community to function. I've seen businesses close down, and so in that sense, I tend to feel like we may need to get a new breed of young politicians.
It must be politicians.
No, let me say drivers of economy, rather. But politicians, again, in one way or the other, we're going to be needing a place of common convergence, but let the power remain with the people that are at the bottom. But right now, I'm just focusing, maybe I don't apply my mind much to what you're saying, but right now, just focusing at one problem that we have. I would not mind if Ramaphosa and his friends, Ramaphosa and Pravin, with all due respect, just take your money, go to Stellenbosch, speak to Rupert and Oppenheimer, buy Eskom out, own it, but allow people to have services.
Because that's already what you guys want. So
that's what you want. Just get it done with. Get it done with.
But let's.
You want the South African Airways? Just buy the thing and put the aeroplanes back on the road. Let people work.
You want Transnet? Sell it to Glencore, it's fine, but just serve the people.
You will go to meet Malema in court and discuss why you did it and how you did it. That's a conversation for another day. But you cannot squeeze people.
Right now you're throttling the people and they can't breathe.
And this is how you make people revolt. This is how you lose everything that you have. This is how Shevchenko, the guy from Czechoslovakia, who was thrown on the streets and his property is destroyed. And this is exactly what happens. You gather all these things to yourself. Think carefully, Ramaphosa. The day you step out of office, you are going to be in court for the rest of your life to account for these injuries that you've caused along the way. For what it is worth, start looking after the common people. Appease the people. They don't want much. They
don't want much.
They just want to switch on their electricity.
Africans don't want much.
They just want food on their table and allow them to become. But when you begin to tamper with these critical issues of,
you turn them into desperate animals.
And when that day comes, the poor people will eat the rich. I bet you Stellenbosch is not far. We'll eat up those grapes.
Oh, a lot of those guys have already started moving overseas, by the way. And moving their companies, Anglo-American.
And their monies. And who is going to remain? Ramaphosa will remain dealing with this mess post his presidential term.
He might leave, but people will bring him back.
We
can
happened?
access people now.
Jacob Zuma, they brought him back from Russia, is it? They wanted him back here. And with the democracy that you have in South Africa, I am saying this ahead, and I want you to cut this clip and put it on standby for the next 1 year. You will come back and revisit this clip word for word. If Jacob Zuma took those few years in court, we're going to be seeing something very interesting on Ramaphosa. Because when we start with Ramaphosa, it's going to start way back where it's uncomfortable. We're going to start off with Rustenburg, which has been put on reps right now for managing the anger of the people. We're going to be dealing with all these issues of business deals. I mean, how do you... Pravin has got 52 companies. 52 companies. Shareholding in all of them. Pushing business tenders into those. I've never seen Pravin appearing in court.
These are businesses that compete with the state having to supply.
No, those businesses are the state. Those businesses are delivering what the state needs. He's an arm. He's in parliament. And who talks about it? He's untouchable. And not only that, he also has his hand fully in SARS to manage his taxation.
Because he used to be at SARS. He used to
So
run SARS.
we are going to be having a very interesting post-Ramaphosa conferencing of accounting for all these things. I am sorry, Ntate Gwede Mantashe, you are in the same basket because you are sitting on the mining space right now. I'm sorry for Begitele because you are also managing the police issues and the crime stuff. I'm sorry for the prosecutors that are being elected. I feel sorry for Zondo. Zondo himself. They are going to be put in one big bag. And the country of 52 million cannot be held ransom by a handful of people who are holding the country ransom. And I don't say this only for South Africa. I say this for Zimbabwe. I say this for Malawi. I say this for... The new generation of Africans that you have are no longer the docile mine workers of 1960. Yeah, yes, bus. Yes, bus. Yes, bus. The yes, bus era has just passed by. They will need to deal, not with me, they will need to deal with young people. When you say Nelson Mandela, the young boy will ask you, who is Mandela? I don't know Mandela for nothing. And when you deal with young people like that who have no clue as to what are you talking about, the anger of the young people will spill into the countries become ungovernable because leaders become irresponsible. They don't become irresponsible only because they're irresponsible, but they are negligent to the basic needs of the community. A hungry stomach knows no politics. Right now, let's get hungry. Let's get hungry and tell me order.
Let's discuss communism and capitalism and socialism while you're hungry.
There's order, please. Order when there's food there. That's why you have stampedes, where people will run on top of each other to access what they want. And if you don't hear me now, maybe you'll hear me later.